from Vatrer. All right, guys, so I got all the bolts removed. Let's take a look on the inside. And full disclosure, I've already watched Lithium Solar's video on this battery, so I know it looks awesome on the inside. So let's go ahead and open it up. Yep, there it is. Wow, that looks amazing. This is the first, I think this is the first I've seen this. It's like one of those flexible PCB kind of ribbon thingies. And you know, it has Vatrer's name etched into it. Yeah, so this just has all the balance leads. You know, they plug in here to this connector and they go to each cell. So that is, you can't get a cleaner solution than that. There's no wires flopping around or anything like that. So that's fantastic. And so we also have the thermal sensors. There's one right there. And this is a whole cell pack. So there's 8 cells here. And then there's another thermal sensor here on this 8 cell pack. We've got these bus bars, that jumper between the 2 cell packs. And everything as far as anything that's carrying current looks like they're these formed bus bars. So here's the positive going to the positive side there. And that's the negative coming out of the BMS. And then that's the negative going into the BMS. I'm very pleased with the quality of this build. This is certainly a step above. And then on the back side of the lid, it has this plastic that's just glued into it. That way, if these cells, you know, something gets damaged and these cells slap up against this lid, they're not going to short out. All right, so let's go ahead and hook the charger up and freeze up one of these thermal sensors and see if it stops charging. All right, so we got the charger hooked up and we are putting in 20 amps. So let's hit that little sensor there with some duster and see if we can get it to shut off. Okay, so yes indeed, it did shut off. So we're putting in no amps. The charger shut down. I heard the little relay click. So we do indeed have low temperature charging protection. And there we go. It warmed back up and we're back to charging. All right, guys, so I have torn into this thing even deeper. I got one of the cell packs out. Also got the BMS out. So let's take a closer look at the cell pack. So we can see there is spacing between the cells. So inside there is some material. We can see it protruding out there. Some insulation material there. So the cells are insulated or isolated from one another. You can see we have these aluminum extrusions as these end plates here. And then there's an insulation material between it, so that's very good. And then these are like a metal band, and then it has like a heat shrink or something around it here. So very neat, solid construction of the cell pack. And I lifted up the little edge here, and I can see the QR code. It's hard to get the whole thing and try to scan it, but I got a picture of it. So here's the picture. And the vendor code of the cells starts with O2Y, which is typically the vendor code of EVE cells. So if we look at O2Y here on Google, and it comes up as EVE. So these appear to be EVE cells, very high quality. So that just adds another layer of awesomeness. All right, so here's the inside of the box. And so the cells are sitting on this epoxy fiber board right here, which is, again, another great thing. And then it's held into place with these really long bolts. So these bolts go through the end plates, and then they have little inserts down there that they screw into. And that fixes the cell module into the housing here. And then up front here is the cavity where the BMS is located. And so now let's take a look at the BMS. So it is, if you can read here, a JBD, let me see if I can focus this, JBD-AP21S002 7-21S. And it is very beefy. So here's the side with the connectors. So this is the balance wire connectors here. I think this is the temperature sensors. This is the switch. Then we've got the RS-485 ports on this side. And then inside there we see this contactor. So this uses a contactor rather than MOSFETs to switch the battery on or off. And that's the top here. So this portion of the contactor, I think it's this. Maybe it's this one. This little bus bar here connects there. And then also inside that they've got the little Bluetooth module. So very neat. All right, guys, I think that's gonna wrap up the video. Let me know what you guys think about this battery down in the comment section. I'll leave links in the description.